Hey, we got a story time of this furry who wants to actually eat the subscriber. Yeah, let's just jump right into it. Hey, before you forget, leave a like on the video right now to claim your free nothing. So we're going to call a subscriber who submitted this story Ben. So the first thing I do want to preference is I want to make it very clear that the majority of the furry community or people who like doing that kind of stuff, most of you guys are actually chill. I got plenty of you guys who watch my videos, so I want to say that there's no beef with any of you guys, right? No beef with any of you guys. You guys got enough hate on the internet in 2016, and in my book, you guys are chill. I mess with most of you guys. There are a few, though. There are a few of you guys that, you know what I mean? The people in this story. So I just want to make it super clear not to hate on the community in general at all. I mean, look, we all do whatever we like doing in our pastimes. Am I finding myself putting on fursuits? No. I'm not Freddy Fazbear, right? However, I still mess with you guys if you do that stuff. And make sure that if you have any negative comments, do not direct it at the community in general. Most of them are chill. Anyways, let's get to the story. So we're going to call the subscriber who submitted this story Ben. So this all started one day when Ben was just chilling in a 5th grade class. He was in 5th grade. He was just chilling in class, normal day. And there was this kid in class who worked a tail into class. I'm not going to lie, bro. I'm not going to lie. You're going to get a little bit of attention if you're wearing a tail into class. It just straight up is what's going to happen. And we're going to call the kid who put on the furry tail Chris. We're going to call this kid Chris. So Chris is the kid with the tail. And he's kind of known, he's a little notorious in the school because he'll just bark and hiss at people. Chris didn't have that many friends, which hey, that always sucks when you don't have friends, and it's always a tough situation. However, it is kind of self-induced whenever anyone tries to talk to you, you bark at them or you hiss at them. Look, just rule number one, okay, not rule number one, but a rule of social interaction is barking and hissing at people is not really the form of communication that's going to get you the best results. That's all I'm trying to say. Anyways, though, so this all happened one day. Ben was in class, and Chris, the kid with the tail, was also in Ben's class. And they never really interacted. Chris kind of just sat in the back of the classroom, kind of just doing his own thing, whatever, playing with his tail. I don't know what he's doing, you know what I mean? But today was a bit of an unfortunate day because Ben went to the back of the classroom to get something. I think in the back of the classroom was located the extra sheets of paper, the pencils, all that other kind of stuff, right? And unfortunately, when Ben was walking back there, so he walks back there, let's say he's getting a pencil. I kind of forgot exactly. I don't remember what he was doing exactly, which, by the way, this story was submitted to me on my Instagram at connorpugs. If you have a story, go to Instagram, look up connorpugs, follow me, and then send me a message with your story to be featured on the channel, too, when I do the stories. Anyways, though, so let's say he went back to get a pencil. When he got his pencil, when he was walking back to his seat, he accidentally steps on Chris's tail. So obviously Chris's tail is not physically attached to his body, so when Ben steps on his tail, it rips it off of his butt or whatever. And it must have been not that well attached, because if it was attached well, it would have been able to resist Ben just stepping on it. It's not like Ben went over there, yanked that thing out of this guy's butt, right? He didn't do anything like that. He just happened to step on it by accident, and the thing came undone. So obviously, Ben, he's a cool guy. He's nice. He was like, hey, bro, my fault. Didn't mean to do that. But Chris looks up at him and goes, oh, whoa, 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 whoa. He just starts barking at him. He gets up on all fours on the desk and starts just having a bark attack. Just starts barking at this kid. And obviously the entire class turns to look behind. And Miss Johnson, who is, let's say, we're going to call the teacher of that class Miss Johnson. Miss Johnson is like, Chris, please use your words. You know that something's going wrong in your class when your teacher has to politely ask one of the students to stop barking at another student. Anyways, though, so Ben is just so thrown off guard because he's heard the stories of Chris, the kid with the tail, barking at people and hissing at people, but it's really kind of just been a joke. And on the low, though, Ben kind of just thought that it was a meme and that kids were making it up just to be mean to this kid because he was like, all right, This kid has like a furry tail. He's going to be a target. Unfortunately, that's just kind of how school is, especially fifth grade, middle school. Like, kids are mean. If you have anything that makes you stand apart from the normal, anything that makes you different, right, you're going to be a target. So Ben kind of thought that these kids were just making up like kind of cruel lies about him, saying, oh, this kid barks at anyone that goes by him just because he had a tail. Well, Ben learned the hard way that no, this in fact was not a troll. This in fact was not a little goof. No, this kid actually just got on all fours, stood on his desk on all fours, and started having a massive bark attack. So, Miss Johnson's like Ben, Chris, let's just let's just go back to our seats. Let's continue with class and we will handle this later. So Ben is like looking at Chris like, yo, relax, bro. I apologize for stepping on your tail. Maybe you shouldn't have your tail laying in the hallway. You know what I mean? Okay, so at this point, Ben walks back to his seat. His friend next to him, he looks over at his friend next to him, and his friend next to him is silently cracking up and trying to hold back laughter. You know when you're laughing so hard that you don't even make any noises? Right now, Ben's friend is just laughing so hard, he's not making any noises. He's trying to hold it together. Because I'm not going to imagine if you're in class and your boy goes to the back of the class to get a pencil and some kid starts barking at him. I would be laughing too. That's pretty crazy. Anyways, though, at this point, Ben kind of just thought that, okay, I made a mistake. This kid already came for me in the fact that he was barking at me in the middle of class. That's already pretty weird. That already happened. We're done after this point, right? We're done. We're cool. I don't think Ben actually thought him and this kid were cool per se. He didn't think, okay, we're boys now. Everything is good. However, he didn't think, he thought, okay, we're done with most, we're done. We're good. Things are okay now. Turns out things were not okay. As you can probably tell by the, you can probably tell by the title of this video that things are about to get a lot worse. So anyways, right, Ben, still chilling in class, sitting there. And his friend, who is cracking up, leans over. And Ben expects that the kid leaning over is going to be, he's going to be trolling him, being dude, there's no way you just got barked out in the middle of class. Of course that would be you, Ben. No one else is going to get barked out by you. Ben was expecting that his friend was going to be trolling him. But his friend is hey, man, I don't mean to alarm you, but that kid, Chris, the tail kid, he seems to be staring at you. And okay, Ben was okay, well, yeah, he's probably looking at me. He's probably mad or whatever, but he didn't expect what he was about to see. So Ben turns around very quickly to you know how to look behind you, you'll pretend crack your back or pretend stretch or pretend go tie your shoe. So Ben pretends to crack his back or whatever. So he turns around in his chair and he looks where Chris is at. Chris is standing, or he is on all fours on his desk in crouch position, staring at him and showing his teeth like a dog. He's arr, arr. And at this point, Ben quickly turns back around. He looks at his friend. He's bro, no, this cannot be happening right now. So at this point, right, Ben is just okay, it's pretty clear to me that this kid, Chris, is not over what just happened, that he still has some pretty major issues with me. Anyways, though, so he's just you know what? I'm not going to turn around again. It's if you see someone and they're looking a little erratic, if you engage with them, or if you give them the attention that they're looking for, there's a better chance that they're going to continue to escalate. But if you completely ignore them, then maybe they'll give up and try something else. You know what I mean? That's always what I was taught. So Ben decided to do the same thing. And his friend leans over again. And at this point, Ben is hoping that his friend is just going to make more comments about the fact that Chris was on his all fours, looking at him and growling. But instead, unfortunately, Ben's friend leans over and says, yo, dude, I don't know how to say this, but you know what, man? Just look behind you. And Ben looks at him and is bro, he's whispering this, by the way. It's in the middle of class. The teacher is teaching right now. But the teacher's also not really paying attention. So Ben turns around to his friend and is look, dude, I don't want to look back at him because that's going to cause more attention. That's probably going to aggravate him. And it's more likely he's going to do something like this. If I keep giving him this attention, he's more likely to do something. And, at this point, Ben's friend is dude, I don't think you need to worry about aggravating him more. Just look. So Ben is like, okay, fine. Ben turns around and he sees Chris slowly crawling down the aisle towards him on all fours, like slowly crawling towards him, growling the whole time, growling as he's getting closer. So kids are trying not to laugh as they're watching at this. Some girl likes to quickly gets up and moves somewhere else. This is very weird. And Ben at this point is like, nah, bro, I'm not doing this right now. Hey, if you made this far into the video, what I want you to do is I want you to go in the comment section and comment bark. I want you guys to spam the comments right now with bark, woof, and growl. Just spam it with that kind of stuff. I'll heart as many of those comments as I can. Anyways, though, so Ben is just seeing this. He's like, oh, no, bro. No, we are not doing this right now. And Ben's like, you know what? I'm just not going to look back. I'm not going to look back. I'm not going to entertain this kid. And I'm just going to let him do whatever he wants to do. Terrible idea. Because this kid was so committed to the bit, as you guys will see. And as you can probably tell by the title, it's about to get a little weird. So this kid is walking over, or this kid is crawling over, and Ben decides the best move is just to ignore him. So Ben is just sitting there, facing forward, making a very intentional decision to not look behind him, which honestly, I understand where Ben was coming from here, but in this situation, he really should have been keeping an eye on this kid, because this kid was pretty erratic. Anyways, right. So Ben's friend's like, bro. He's just trying to get Ben's attention. And Ben's like, I'm not going to give Chris any attention, because if I give him attention, and that's when Ben feels this shooting pain in his calf. And he looks down, because remember, his friend's like, bro, trying to get Ben's attention. Ben's trying to explain to him, I don't want to give him any attention. And that's when he feels this shooting pain in his calf. And Ben looks down, and he sees Chris he sees Chris's head on his calf. And that's when he realizes that Chris has sunk his teeth into his calf. So Ben gets up quickly, shakes Chris off, and Chris kind of flies back a little bit. He's like, dude, what are you doing? And the whole class goes silent, and the teacher turns around because the teacher was writing something on the board. And the teacher's like, Ben, don't interrupt the class. And Ben almost yells back at the teacher, Chris just bit me in the leg. And he looks at his leg, and it's all red and chewed up. Thankfully, skin was not broken, which would be a serious issue if you had to go on antibiotics or something. But then all the other kids in the class start corroborating, being like, yes, Miss Teacher, Miss Johnson, Chris literally just bit this kid. Chris just bit this kid. It was crazy. And the teacher's like, what? And the teacher's like, Chris, did you just bite Ben? And Chris goes, and starts barking again at the teacher. So yeah, at this point, Chris is escorted out of the classroom. Ben is asked to leave, not because, he did anything wrong, but just to go to the principals to explain what happened, and then go straight to the nurses to make sure. Because the teacher didn't know if the skin was broken or if there's an infection or whatever. So Ben goes to the principal's office, explain what happened. The principal's like, damn. And then anyways, Ben goes to the nurses. They give him a disinfectant wipe, clean off his leg, whatever. They check him for infection or whatever, breaking the skin, which it didn't, which if it did, that might be a problem. And Ben didn't go back to that class for that class period, but he went back the next day, and Chris was allowed to go back the next day. But Chris, after class that day, Miss Johnson was like, hey, Chris and Ben, I need to see you both. And so Chris was forced to give an apology to Ben, and also no barks in the apology, which Chris was barely able to do, but he was able to do it. Ben accepted the apology, not because he was like, oh man, I'm sure, because Chris had a very fake apology or whatever, but Ben was also just like, you know what, I'm not going to elongate this, I'm not going to make this, I just want to have this finish, I'm going to say, yes, I accept the apology, but let me just say, it did not end there, but that's for part 2. 1,000 likes on this video, I'm dropping part 2 of the furry kid who bit the subscriber in class. Part 2 is even crazier than part 1. Drop a like on this video. Watch another video. Peace.